I am so excited because the Step Out TV shows are back live on T2I TV. And for those who don't know, Step Out is a series of interviews and motivational segments designed to bring the best out of you and your business. Therefore, we have the following TV programs. Our first TV program, which is our flagship program, dubbed Step Out with Oscar Bimpong, is designed to interview consultants, experts, talented people, and those doing exceptionally well in their communities. The second one is Step Out SME Focus. This is where we interview business owners and showcase their products and services. The third one is Step Out Youth Impact Zone. This is where we interview young people succeeding against all odds to serve as an inspiration to other young people. And the last one is Step Out Authors Corner. And this is where we interview authors to share what their book is about to the world. Join us every week. Like T2I TV on Facebook and subscribe to the YouTube channel. To advertise or for further information, do WhatsApp +44 759 1152 983 or +233 55 580 3924 or email info@traintoinspire.com. T2I TV, we engage, educate, enlighten, and empower.
Welcome to another exciting edition of the Step Out with Oscar Bimpong. And Saturday is always a day that will bring you inspiring stories, experts, consultants, people doing exceptionally well in their communities, talented people, for them to come and discuss topics designed to shape your life and your vision. And the main idea is to shape the people on the continent of Africa and in diaspora. And this is Step Out with Oscar Bimpo. And I am your regular host on the Step Out TV shows. And tonight is no exception. If you are watching us before I bring in all my guests, I want you to really share this for somebody to have an opportunity because to watch this, because there is a whole lot that is going on with the COVID-19 vaccine. And tonight we are going to make sure that we bring clarity to this topic that a lot and lots of people are really confused about. I don't want to go into details, but please share this, like our page, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And this is what we do every Tuesday, Thursday, and on Saturday, bringing in discussions designed to really bring a difference to your life. People that have given up, people that think there is no hope, people that think that Africa, there are no opportunities, people that think that if you are born black, it means that the way forward, there is no way forward. This is the platform you need to be every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays, 8 p.m. GMT. Before I go on to my guest, let me really do a few mention of our sponsors. This program is sponsored by Train to Inspire Consultancy. That is your business training and consulting firm. Also, Train to Inspire works with second cycle institutions, colleges, and universities in relation to the personal development of students. Also, ALS Global Shipping and Logistics, your trusted import and export company based in Accra. ALS says if you are stranded at the port, call them and they will sort you out. Also, ZPay Ghana Limited, your remittance and mobile money company based in Ghana. They just launched their ZPay USSD code, and that is *270#. Just dial it on your phone and register for ZPay mobile money. Now, if you want to contact any of any of our sponsors, their numbers are scrolling on the screen. Take them and contact them. And when you contact them, just tell them you got it from T2I TV UK, and you are more likely to get a very good deal. Also, if you want to sponsor any of our shows, take the number for T2I TV UK or Train to Inspire Consultancy and contact us so that we are going to work with you as a consultancy firm. We are going to give you buy one get one free, meaning that we are going to support your business and help you to strategically position yourself in the marketplace, help you in terms of your business development, and also for you to succeed as a startup or an SME. Now, if you also want to support what we are doing, you are more than happy to do so, because we want to take this platform to the corners of Africa and in diaspora. We want to really educate our people. The personal development of we Africans really dwells on this platform. Most of us have got degrees, but we don't have knowledge about personal development. And that is what this platform is all about. It is your educational platform beyond the borders of the classroom. And that is what we are all about. Now, enough of me talking. I am your host, Oscar Bimpon, on the Step Out with Oscar Bimpon show. And tonight, who do I have on the seat? This man, his CV is a book. And I think if I really want to read his CV, we are going to waste the whole of today here, because the man has really worked hard. And who is this man I'm talking about? He is an associate medical doctor, associate medical director, that is for patient safety. He is NHS patient safety specialist. He is a CQC advisor in terms of maternity. He is a consultant in obstetrician and gynecology, and he's also a senior fellow of the medical leadership and management with a 42-year experience as a medical doctor. 42 years. That is a huge number just for a career. And who is this man I'm talking about? He is in the presence of Professor Rotimi Jaiyesimi. Please welcome to Step Out with Oscar Bimpon, and you are live on T2I TV UK.
Good evening, Oscar. It's a pleasure to be with you, and I look forward to an exciting evening. Thank
Wow,
you.
wow. How are you? How has your day been?
My day's been good. Done a few things. Rested as well. We are under lockdown due to the government restrictions due to COVID, but I've tried to make the best out of the situation.
Wow. Now, if I may ask, somebody that is meeting you for the first time, who is Professor Rotimi Jaiyesimi?
That's an interesting one. I am first and foremost human from Nigeria. I'm married to Esther with two children.
How many?
Two children.
Oh,
Adults.
okay.
They are adults now. I am proudly African. I believe that humanity is one and do not see why there should be discrimination between ethnic groups. I believe in building other people. Like you said, I've been in medicine for 42 years. I had teachers who held my hands. And I think my role is to leave a legacy for the next generation, to build them up as well, in all humility.
Anyway, before I go on, I want to really say I really like your kente.
Oh, thank
Your
you.
kente is very nice, and
Yes, thank you.
I believe this is coming from Ghana, right?
Yes, it is from Ghana.
Wow. Nigerians, you cannot have enough of Ghanaians.
No, we're the same, aren't we? We're brothers.
Exactly. Yes, the only time we don't agree is when our national teams are playing.
No,
That one we cannot agree.
no. We can't agree on jollof rice.
Jollof rice as well. Jollof rice as well. But that one, we have already won the battle, so I think it's not a question for discussion anymore. So
okay, I'll concede that to you. Just for
yes. So let's go straight to business, right? Our topic for discussion is the myths and the realities of the COVID-19 vaccine.
yes.
And this vaccine, I was just watching some statistics today on TV, and it looks like 3/4 of us from Africa, Caribbean minority group, we are not even ready to take the vaccine. And that is actually huge numbers. Now, the question is that why is it that we don't want to take the vaccine?
Well, I think there's a lot of historical aspect to it. The black race has been subjected to a lot of injustice in terms of slavery, in terms of racism, which still continues in the contemporary world. When you look at the medical science, the black race have been used for experiments in the past, which was very unethical. But that was so. I mean, the last time we had the Tuskegee experiment ended in the 1970s. But even more recently than that was what happened in Kano when a drug company went to Nigeria to undertake a research program during a meningitis outbreak without full ethical approval. And 11 children died. The company involved was found wanting, if you want to use the word guilty. And I think some of these things breed distrust between the BAME community, the Black and Asian community, and our Caucasian colleagues. So I think that's one of the main reasons. But it really shouldn't be a reason because we are now in 2021 and things are better. People are more aware. The younger generation are different from the older generation when it comes to diversity, accepting diversity, accepting equality, and being included in things. But again, mistrust between government and the community. And secondly, is communication. You've got to communicate the message you want to carry really to the community that you want to receive the message. And if you don't carry this message appropriately, then you will have issues. And another factor that has now come into play, which we never used to have, is social media. I could go onto social media and put anything I want, get it broadcasted, retweeted, and people believe it because they see it on social media. So that hasn't helped. So there's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of disinformation, but I think we have come to a stage where we need to look at what is out there, look at what is true and what is wrong, and then make a decision. Not everything you see on social media is correct. Wow. Not everything you see on Google is correct. So what I say is be careful of the information you see. You have to look at the source of where that information is coming from.
Wow. Is a virus a man-made virus?
It's not a man-made virus. The virus has existed before. It's been known to be present in animals. They've linked it to bats. It's in animals. But how this one came about is still being questioned. We still don't know exactly how COVID-19 came about. We do know that it started in China. It is associated with a market in Wuhan in China, where they sell different types of foodstuff. And the theory is that perhaps from the animals there, it got onto human beings, and from human beings started the human to human transmission. So that's the theory. So it's not a man-made virus.
Wow, wow, wow. Because some people are saying that there's a man-made virus to depopulate the world, but sometimes I can't get my head around it. Why do we want to reduce the number of people on Earth? Does it really make sense?
Well, I mean, I don't think there's any country, well, I wouldn't say any country. If you talk about African depopulation, the population of Nigeria in the 60s was around 52 million. The population of Nigeria now, the estimated population, is about 200 million. So has any depopulation taken place in the last 40 years? No. And no, nobody wants to depopulate the world. Yes, the population of the world is growing. And we're not going to depopulate the world by harming ourselves, by inflicting disease on human beings. Again, this is where communication comes into it. When China felt that its population was too large, it restricted the family size to one child per family. And they did that by law. But China has eased that law because they've now come to find out that human capital resources is a rich source. So China no longer has that one child per family rule. What we have to do, there are contraceptives. You can plan your family. You don't have to have 20 children as an individual. So no one is trying to depopulate the world. What message people are trying to say is that we should be careful in terms of overpopulation.
Wow, wow. Now, during this pandemic, please, if you are watching us, please drop your questions, drop the things you don't understand so that Prof will be able to answer you, right? Now, Bill Gates has been in the scene of all this pandemic. People are saying he's the brain behind the virus. It is motive to really develop a vaccine so that he will make money out of it. There is a whole too many theories, conspiracy theories against him. Do you think he has got a role in this?
No, Bill Gates, if anything, is a philanthropist. Yes, you may have found one or two videos in which Bill Gates and his wife, perhaps his wife, talked about the exploding population of the world. You can take a clip, a 5-second clip of a 1 hour interview or lecture, and then you lose the message. Bill Gates is not trying to depopulate the world. If he's trying to do that, he will not be expending so much money in Africa trying to control malaria, trying to control polio, trying to control smallpox. Bill Gates, no, is not trying to depopulate the world. Bill Gates is rich enough, and it's not about the vaccine. The vaccines have been so, I mean, Pfizer has nothing to do with Bill Gates. I could buy shares in any of these companies. He can buy shares, but he doesn't own any of these companies. He doesn't own Pfizer. He doesn't own Moderna. He doesn't own AstraZeneca. He doesn't own the Chinese company or the Russian one. So Bill Gates is not trying to make money out of this pandemic.
Now let me really move on to the vaccine itself, right? Now, when you look at the vaccine, it looks like the vaccine was developed very quickly.
Yeah.
Compared to years that they say a vaccine can take maybe about 5 to 10 years to develop or whatever it is. But this time, within a year, we've been able to develop a vaccine. And people are really questioning its efficacy because of how we have been able to develop it so quickly. Now, what is your take on that? Does it really make any difference?
You have to understand that science already knows the technology about making vaccines over 100 years. We've had the polio, we've had the cholera, Ebola vaccines, we have different types of vaccines. If you take the polio vaccine, for example, it's been in existence for decades, so it's not new. And what you have two different types, what you call the live one or attenuated one, where you inject the virus, a killed version of the virus, and then the body mounts a defense against it because it recognizes it as foreign. Or you can have one that is, if you just want to use layperson term, let's say semi-killed, you've destroyed its potency. But if you inject it in the human body, it recognizes that this is foreign to me, and it mounts a defense against this that is like soldiers, which we call antibodies. So that technology has been there for years. The one that concerns people at the moment is the mRNA vaccine. But again, the mRNA technology itself has been in existence for about 15 years. We've had people working on the mRNA technology, and this is not the very first time the mRNA technology is going to be used in medicine. There is a disease called hyperlipidemia, where you have a lot of lipids, fat in the system. There's a drug in the market that uses mRNA technology. I mean, there hasn't been any hue and cry about that. There are also anti-cancer drugs in the market that are using mRNA technology. So I think, and again, we have to understand that this time around, it's a pandemic. It's not just a disease that affects 40,000 people a year. If you look at it, the number of people who have died since this disease, about 2.5 million people have died. That is a lot of people. And that is why the whole world has come together to address and look for a cure. Now, what has happened? If you look at drug development, like you said, it could take 10 years. But like I've said, we know the technology, so that's out of it. Now, what government has done is to put money into this, to say, look, we are in a war. We are in a situation where this virus is killing people. It's destroying the economy. It's affecting people's mental health. Pharmaceutical companies, we are going to give you money to try and get these vaccines developed. Years ago, government had no business giving pharmaceutical companies money. Then another thing is the bureaucracy. If you are developing a drug, when you go through the 3 phases of trials, phase 3 trials, and you go to the regulatory organizations and say, we have this new drug, could you look at it? It could be on somebody's desk for 2 years before it is signed off. So all that bottleneck has been done away with. And what we have at the moment is what we call the emergency authorization use. Okay. It's undergone the trials, it's been shown to be safe, it's been shown to be effective. So what governments in America, in the Western world, and other parts have said is, we're in a war, we're going to give an emergency license for the use of these vaccines. So no corners have been caught. It went through the 3 normal stages of trials, and after getting to the market, you have the post marketing surveillance. So no corners have been cut. It's just that there's been collaboration between the public sector, the pharmaceutical industries, and government. That is why we're where we are. And let me tell you one thing, Oscar. Many years ago, did we have computers?
No.
If you were going to do things, you counted on your fingers, 1, 2, 1 plus 1 is 2. With a computer now, you could churn out figures.
Yes.
With computers now, you can analyze different things. The speed of things is rapid now. So
okay, yes.
technology has also contributed to the pace in which this virus has been produced.
So in a nutshell, you are saying that we shouldn't worry because technology has really driven this and it has caused us to really produce this vaccine at a faster rate than never before, right?
Yes, the main reason why one should not worry is that no corners have been cut. The vaccines went through phase 1 trial where you test it on a few people, then you expand it into a larger group of people, then into phase 3, where at least for one of the drugs, I think about 40,000 people were tested, 20 in one arm, 20,000 in one arm, 20,000 in another arm, to look for safety, to look for adverse events, if you want to call it side effects. But again, yes, that's what I'm saying. One of the things people say is this: there is no drug in the market that anybody can talk about its long-term safety profile. So for any drug, you only get a long-term safety profile after you start using it. And that is why when new drugs are introduced in the market, you have a reporting system, whether it's an itch or a headache or an allergic reaction or any side effect, you are advised to report that to a central body. In the United Kingdom, it's the yellow card system. Different countries have different reporting systems. And talking of technology again now, you report on your app, on your telephone. Oh, I've had my vaccine. I had a pain, or I had a headache, or I had diarrhea, and you go on there and put it there. So again, that is helping the world gather as much information as possible.
Wow. This is getting quite interesting, and trust me, I'm really enjoying the discussion. And if you are watching us, yes, if you are watching us, we want you to really comment and really tell us some of the things, that questions for us to ask Prof. And also, please share this for somebody to have the opportunity to watch this, and like our page on Facebook and also on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now, is there a vaccine made for Black people and a vaccine made for other races? I'm talking about the COVID-19 vaccine.
Yes, the answer to that is simple. No. When you go to the vaccination center, there's no queue for Black people or queue for white people. In the bottle where you have the vaccines, you could have 5 or 6 shots out of it, and it's from that bottle everybody gets. So whether it's your turn and you're white, they're not going to say, oh, go and get the white bottle. Or when you are a Black person, they say, oh no, go and get the one for the Black people. No. We all are receiving the same vaccine. I have got the vaccine. I have been vaccinated. So I can say that with all authority. There is no difference in any vaccine for the Blacks or for the white.
Wow. Now let's go to the variant, yeah, the new different phases of the virus that is coming out. Yes. Does it have impact on the vaccine? Because now the new variant probably is killing more people than the older one, and the vaccine was made based on the older one. Is it having an impact on it that, look, still the vaccine will not work because we've got a new variant?
Well, you see, viruses, bacteria, they have their own intelligence. It's like they're at war. They want to thrive on human beings. And when you bring out a vaccine, they mutate, they undergo mutation. But you see, the good thing is that we understand the biology, the physiology behind these viruses. It has been shown that some of the vaccines available are active, are potent against the variants or the mutants that we have already. Now, if for whatever reason we find a variant that may not be amenable to the vaccines, it's easy to tweak vaccines because already we know the technology, we know how the viruses behave. It all has to do with what we call spike proteins. So for now, the vaccines we have been shown to be effective. If they are not, easily, I'm sure scientists can get above the variants. But for now, all the vaccines we have, the AstraZeneca one, the Pfizer, the Moderna one, have been shown to be effective. Yeah, what is happening is that it's killing more people. It's not killing people who have been vaccinated. That is where we have to draw a distinction that, oh, we've got a new variant, more people are dying. Now, the question is, these people who are dying, have they been vaccinated? And this is why we're encouraging people, especially people in the Black and Asian and minority ethnic groups, to get the vaccine. Because, like we said, it's mutating. And it's a nasty disease. People say there's nothing like COVID-19. COVID-19 is real. It's there. It has killed a lot of people, 2.5 million people. And I mean, we do express our sympathy. I'm sure you join me in expressing our sympathy to those families that have lost loved ones. There are people who have had COVID and survived. Even they have what we now call long-term COVID, wellness issues, tired, all sorts of different things. So we've got to empathize. We've got to realize that we are in a situation that is real and have to address it head on. Thank you.
Wow, 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 wow. That is quite interesting. But as you said, we really we send our condolences to all those who have really, really lost loved ones. And I think it's a sad situation. 2 days ago, I lost one of my best friends in Ghana to COVID. And it's things that sometimes when it has even happened close to you, you think this thing doesn't really exist. But then when you start really getting to that stage where somebody close to you die of COVID, then I think you start really thinking about all these conspiracy theories of the vaccine. Because I was thinking that if this my friend had opportunity to really had a vaccine, then probably he would have lived. I have had the opportunity to have my first dose. I'm waiting for my second dose because why should I take chances? I always tell people that I prefer to die by the vaccine than not to take the vaccine and die by the virus.
Yeah.
Because if there is a vaccine that potentially can protect me and I decide not to take it and I die by the vaccine, then I can say I'm very stupid. I have to say it straight because I didn't seize that opportunity. So I think we have to really think deep about this. It's not only about us. If you can survive it and you are telling your family members not to take it, probably your family member will not be able to survive it, and that can really cause a loss and loss of loss to us. So I think we should really think about it, especially we coming from the African Caribbean background and also from the Asian ethnic minorities. Now let me ask this: if they say a vaccine is, let's say, 90% efficient,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
Well, when you do studies, in terms, you look at a cohort of people, you give them the vaccine, and then you see whether they will produce antibodies. I'll use the word soldiers, okay, against the virus. Can they attack the virus? Can they kill the virus? And that's what you talk about, the efficiency of the virus. Being 50% or 80% or 90% really shouldn't bother people. Let me tell you why I say so. I've had the virus. I got the virus infection in March 2020. Yeah, March last year. I didn't know I had it. I thought it felt like malaria, fever, but I did not go into hospital. Perhaps because I was able to mount a defense against it. But not everybody can mount such a defense. And that is where the vaccine comes into play. So if you can mount 50% effectiveness, it's better than zero. If you can get 80%, so be it. But to say, oh, I'm not going to have anything, leaves you open to what the virus can cause. And like you rightly said, it's not a good disease, it's a nasty disease. If you contract the virus, especially people in the Black community, in the Asian community, and if you have underlying comorbidities, one could be dead within a week, 2 weeks. I mean, over 200 million people have had this vaccine. I have not seen any proven report of any direct relationship between the vaccine and human death. I chose my words carefully. Direct causal effect, to say, oh, it is because of this vaccine that somebody died. And we're talking of over 200 million people haven't received the vaccine. So that is why people are sure that there's a lot of safety in this vaccine. If we were not sure, science is now progressing to say, let us test it on women. Let us test it on pregnant women. Let's give it to pregnant women. And that's because the scientific literature has shown that it is a safe medication to use.
Wow, wow, wow. And I think you are making but you see, there were some videos that were showing on social media. For example, a white lady who had a vaccine, and within a short space of time, it looks like she collapsed and all that. And there was also an article of a woman living somewhere in the UK here. She had a vaccine. She was over 50 years, but she had an underlying condition of sleep apnea, diabetes, and high blood pressure. And I think she died a day or two after having it. And I think some of these things, as they are on social media, really also serve a negative like feedback to people, for them to say, look, this thing is not what they say it is, isn't it?
Yes, up front at the beginning of the program, I told you the effect of social media, the negative effect of social media, which photoshopping, you could do anything now. I've seen some of the videos you're talking about. One of a lady who was shaking. When I looked at that video, I could tell that it was not real. And what happened after that video? She put up a GoFundMe page for money, soliciting for money. So effectively, what she was trying to do was to capitalize on lies to make money, but she was found out. Now, if I take the vaccine today, and I go out and I got knocked down by the car or by a car, does it mean it's the vaccine that made the car knock me down?
No.
Or no? So, I mean, human beings are, I mean, you've spoken of underlying conditions, diabetes, hypertension, cancer, different diseases, sickle cell diseases. These are underlying conditions that should somebody get the infection, it can make them ill and worse. So that is what we've got to be very aware of. What's on social media, you ask people to give you the source. And again, the media has a role to play in this. The headlines at times, for example, there was one in one of the Scandinavian countries where it said, I think it was either 32 or 52 people died after taking the vaccine. Now, if you are in terminal care means maybe you've got cancer, dementia, and you're dying. Okay.
Alzheimer's, yeah.
Now, if they give you the vaccine and you die, it doesn't mean it's the vaccine that killed you. I mean, you were on that journey of death anyway, which we are all on, but at different stages. But when you read down into the article, it will tell you that they've looked into it. The death of these 52 people were not related to the vaccine. But the headline, which is what we all see, is like, oh, the vaccine has killed 52 people. No. So we've got to ask for the spirit of discernment. We've got to ask for knowledge. We've got to read. We've got to ask people, where's the source of your knowledge? Where's the source of this information? And I think we've got to be careful. One is not saying that mistakes cannot happen in medicine. For example, we have found out that people who have a history of severe allergies are advised not to take certain vaccines. Or if they're going to take it, they will be monitored. They won't say, have the jab, go home. No, they're kept in. When I say kept in, they're told to sit down, they're observed for 30 minutes, and if they're okay, they go home. And don't forget that it's easy to treat allergy. If you have an allergic reaction, there are, in the vaccination centers, I'm sure there are stations ready to treat such instances. So we've got to be careful about what we read on social media. I tell you there was one on social media that when you now went onto YouTube, that video had been there since, I think, 2012, long before we even had the vaccine, but people were pushing it out that, you see, this is what the vaccine causes. This is what the vaccine causes. No, I think we've got to be careful about social media. Ignorance kills.
Exactly.
Knowledge is power, but
Yes.
ignorance can kill. And mis and disinformation, again, can kill. So we've got to be careful.
There is a saying that if you think knowledge is expensive, then try ignorance. and I think that is a very powerful statement. Now let me ask you this: does the vaccine alter our DNA?
Definitely no. Oscar, we've met before once, I think, or
Yeah.
twice.
Yes.
Have I changed?
No.
No. I've had the vaccine. You've had the vaccine.
Yes, I've had it. Yeah.
Oh, have you grown taller?
No.
Have you changed?
No.
All right. So the vaccine doesn't change your DNA. The one people are worried about is the mRNA vaccine, the messenger RNA vaccine. The DNA that constitutes the human being is within the nucleus. Let's take an avocado, a pear or avocado. You know that nut shell in the middle? Let's say that's the nucleus. That's where the DNA is, okay? The green part we eat, the fleshy part we eat, is what we call the cytoplasm. That is where the mRNA gets into. And when it gets into there, the body recognizes that, look at this foreign object, and mounts and develops proteins or antibodies against it. And once the body does that, the mRNA vaccine doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go into the nucleus. It does not 100% categorically change the DNA of humanity or of any human being.
Now, there is also another thing that I think is on the minds of people. Now, if I take the vaccine, right? Now, every vaccine has got its how do we call it? Long-term effect, right?
Yes.
And now with vaccines like especially or COVID-19, when should we expect its long-term effect if there are any?
You mean side effects?
Side effects, yeah.
Right. I mean, like I said, no new drug can you talk of a long-term safety profile. And with 200 million people have been vaccinated in about 2 to 3 months. There hasn't been any severe adverse events. Yes, there have been side effects, temperature, pain in the arm, maybe pain in the chest, headaches, feeling weak, but people recover from that. We're talking of severe adverse events that can result in death or that can result in serious harm. So the more people take it and the longer we use it for, we will be able to talk of the long-term safety. But like I said, we've been using polio for a long time, polio vaccines, cholera vaccines, yellow fever vaccines, typhoid. So the technology is there already, and we know that they are safe. Every year we get the flu jab, and it's safe. So humanity will not destroy humanity because of a pandemic. No. So let's see what happens over the next. The question people are asking now, are we going to need to take this vaccine every year?
That was going to be my next question. Go on.
Yeah, we don't know because we don't know that whether over the longer after you've had your vaccines, yes, you'll mount up the soldiers, but we don't know that maybe over a few months you won't have as many antibodies in your system, and then you may need a booster dose. Don't forget that I'm sure as you're from Ghana, you can't get into Ghana without a yellow fever jab.
Job.
Yeah, but yellow fever jabs are taken every 10 years. Science has shown that if you have a shot of yellow fever this year, you will have antibodies that will cover you for 10 years. But there are some viruses that you need to take it maybe every 2 years or every year.
Like
And
the
we
flu,
will,
yeah?
yeah, the flu, you take it every year. Because again, you have variants, you have mutations taking place. So we don't know yet, but I will tell you that the scientific world are not sitting down. They're looking at every aspect. They're collecting data, and every day there's new data.
Wow. Because it's quite interesting. Like sometimes people have got lots of doubts, and I think some of these discussion are really clarifying issues, even for myself, because I'm really learning a lot. Now, somebody may ask, if you say the vaccine will work, why should I have to still wear a mask after I have taken my vaccine?
What you did ask about the 50%, the 90%.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
It's
mm-hmm,
not 100%.
mm.
It doesn't mean that if you have received the vaccine, that every human being will be able to mount adequate defense. Until we're certain of that, That is why people are saying still wear a mask. Okay, we're not certain. Even with the flu, people say wash your hands. So we still have to take those basic information. Let's see how these things unfold. I am happy you didn't use the word hesitancy or reluctance. It's okay to have concerns about the vaccines. It's okay to question it. But what you should do is to seek information about it. You've spoken about the myths out there, and I think we should address some of this. People say, oh, it's the mark of the beast in the Bible. The mark of the beast is supposed to be in the head. The mark of the beast is supposed to be in the head. The vaccine you get is in your shoulder. It has nothing to do with end times. Even in the Bible and in the Quran, it talks about health. God has given human beings this wisdom to treat illnesses. In the Bible, Jesus healed, and I'm sure in the Quran and in other faiths, people believe in healing, the power of prayer, the healing powers of prayer. But faith without work is dead. God says, yes, pray, but also believe in me. Believe in the knowledge I have given you. People say, one of the things that is happening in society is this. People appeal or drop things that will scare you. What's going on at the moment? Oh, it can cause infertility. Any couple that hears that will say, oh my God, no, I'm not going to take it. The vaccine does not cause infertility. All right? And where's the proof? The vaccine has only been around, this particular vaccine, the COVID vaccine, has only been around for maximum 3 months. You don't describe infertility in a couple within 3 months. It can take a normal healthy couple up to 12 months to have a pregnancy. So where has that story of infertility come about? Oh, it can cause erectile dysfunction in men. Which man will hear that and not want to run away? There is no truth to it. If anything, a study from China came out about 3 days ago that showed that COVID itself, the infection, if you get COVID, it can damage the sperm. Whether it can damage it permanently or just for a short time, we don't know yet. So people talk about things that will scare people, and that is where we have to be very careful. Now, the other thing people talk about is, oh, you don't listen to the other side of the story. People who have reservations about it. Every time when I say you, I'm not saying yourself or myself. Oh, the panel is always talking about, oh, take the vaccine, take the vaccine. But I tell you, people are dying. And we're saying, if you don't take it, the vaccine is not going to kill you. People are not trying to kill you. They're not trying to kill Black people. They're not trying to kill Asian people. So why don't you take it? So what we're saying is this. Nobody is going to force anybody to take the vaccine. It's a final decision that one has got to make. It's a decision, it's a personal decision that you've got to make. But what we're trying to do is to say, look, these are the facts. These are the figures. These are areas of uncertainty. We spoke about long-term safety profile. Have I said it's got a long-term safety profile? have said, no, it hasn't got that, but we will know. So that is my appeal, especially to the Black and Asian community, that we should be mindful of what we read. There's nowhere I've spoken to pastors, I've spoken to people in the Islamic faith. The mosques are opening up the mosque as vaccination centers. The Jewish temple are opening up their temples as vaccination centers. If they had anything in the Quran or in their religion against vaccines, they wouldn't be opening up their places of worship as vaccination centers. So let's be careful. Don't, I mean, I've heard people talk about racism by the police, racism in the workplace, racism here, discrimination here. What we're talking about, this virus, unfortunately, even has the propensity to have more, four times Black people die from this. More Asians die than.
Why is that the case?
You see, it's multifactorial. Some people, we have more diabetes, probably more uncontrolled diabetes. We've got hypertension. There are genomics. In certain community, you have the elderly people. You have 3 generations living together. The younger people don't die from this disease. It tends to be the older people. So if you live in a multi-generational community and the young person who has the virus and has no symptoms comes home, the elderly people who are prone or whose immunity are weakened then get it, then they die. So these people are still looking at it as to why are more Black people getting it. Another reason people have given is this. When you go to care homes where the viral load might be heavy, when you go to hospitals, the people in the front line are people from the Black and Asian community. We're not saying there are no white doctors or white nurses, but you have a lot of Black and Asian people doing care work.
Yes.
You have a lot of Asians and Black people doing
Cleaning, housekeeping,
cab drivers. So they are exposed to it. So it's people are still looking at the ins of why and why. You can only use the data you have at the moment to try and find out the why. But one of the areas that we haven't even explored is the genomics. Is there something in our own genes that doesn't allow us to handle or to be able to fight the virus? People have spoken about vitamin D deficiency, possibly immunity, that's a possibility. Now people are being told to take vitamin D. Black people, for example, our black skin is to protect our skins from ultraviolet light. But we live in Europe where there's no sun, so we don't get enough vitamin D. So perhaps our immunity is not high enough. I was shocked when I did a blood test and I was told that I was severely vitamin D deficient. Not just deficient, severely. If anybody had told me that I would be, I would say, you're joking. How would I be vitamin D deficient? No. So there are different strands, and there's a lot of activity in the scientific experimental world going on. And new information comes out every day, and people are updated. But what we know is the virus is real. If one gets it, it can be nasty and it can kill. And then we've got to be very careful. We've been lucky. We were all begging for a solution to this disease. Now we've got the vaccine, and some people are saying they're not going to have it. I think the appeal is that we should consider taking it. And if you're not going to take it, my appeal to you is make sure you do your social distancing, wearing your face mask adequately, appropriately, and washing your hands, hand hygiene.
Wow. I think I've got a comment here from Odi Cummings, and I think he's talking about the 666. Actually, the religious bit wanted to be the last point of my questioning, but because you brought it up, let us kill it out of the way. And I think he's talking about Revelation 13, verse 16 to 17. And he's talking about, he says, he causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their forehead.
On the right.
And verse 17, on the right hand or on their forehead. That is the mark of the beast, right? I guess that's what he's talking about. Then verse 17 says, so that no one may buy or sell except he who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So now, does it mean that, is it the junction, or is it about the vaccine passport? I don't really understand how this sexes comes into picture, or the mark of the beast comes into picture when it comes to this. Do you have any idea?
You see, I think you can read the Bible and out of context. We mentioned forehead. We all know where the forehead is. He's spoken about the right hand. Okay, the right hand.
But the vaccine can be given on your right or your left, depending on.
That's what I was going to say.
Because they will ask you which hand are you comfortable with before they give you the vaccine.
That's correct. Yeah, I used my left because I'm right-handed. That's why. And you can get it anywhere. Even the vaccine can be given in the thigh. It can be given anywhere. It's just that to get to the thigh, you have to take your trousers down, then intimate examination, exposure. But it's easy to pull up the roll of your shirt. So it has not in 100%. No. I've spoken to pastors. Pastors have issued. Yesterday, I was on a religious meeting. I know the views of the church. It has nothing to do with the mark of the beast. Definitely. So please don't let us misquote what the Bible says. We've had pastors in the past that have forecasted that the world was going to come to an end some years ago. And when it didn't come to an end, what happened? End time ministry. God said, when he's going to come back, we won't know. It's just going to be a rapture. Nobody knows. It could be another 2,000 years. It could be another 200,000 years. But while you're living today, protect yourself, is what we're saying.
Wow. But this vaccine passport, what is the idea behind it? Because if I don't take it, why should my life be limited?
Well, let's talk about, I understand what you're talking about, vaccine passport. You say in public health, if there is a disease that if I have it, I can give it to another person, then I'm putting another person at risk. So if I decide I'm not going to take the vaccine and I have the virus and I may not know that I have the virus, why will I be allowed into a workplace or into an aeroplane, perhaps carrying the vaccine, and then give it to another person?
That carry the virus.
Yes, but you're asymptomatic. When we say asymptomatic, you've got the virus. You could be a young person who's got the virus. You have no temperature, you have nothing, but you have the virus. But it's not written on anybody's forehead or in your passport. And that is why people are now saying there might come a time when the vaccine passport might be necessary. But is a vaccine passport new? A vaccine passport is not new. We all have the yellow travel passport, where you have your cholera vaccine, you have your diphtheria, your typhoid, and
yellow fever.
Yellow fever. And like I said, I went to Ghana about 4 years ago, and they did ask for my vaccine passport. If I didn't have it, they would not have allowed me into Accra, Ghana. I even told them that I was from England and there's no yellow fever in England. They didn't even want to know that. So it's about public health. Yes, traveling is not a human right. Health is a human right. So if you want to travel and a country says you have to produce evidence that you've been vaccinated, then you can decide to sit down at home and not go to that country, or go to a country that is more liberal and are ready to accept anybody and everybody. But the vaccine passport is not a new thing. The yellow card, like you said, the yellow fever travel card, we call it the international travel certificate. It's a passport, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did people complain about it? No. So why are we complaining about a vaccine passport? It's something that we've always had before. It's not new. So that is what I would say. It's about protecting humanity.
Now, science and religion. I'm just bringing this to a close. But science and religion, they are at par, like they are two different entities, right? But then I think the worry is that when pastors wants to take the position of doctors or scientists, I believe that is what is really killing this issue of so many conspiracy theories. Because sometimes I find it worrying when a pastor stands in front of a congregation of 200 people, 500 people, 1,000 people, and they are talking about the conspiracy theory of the vaccine.
Yeah.
Now, this virus is killing Christians and non-Christians. My friend who died 3 days ago, a day before yesterday, is a very good Christian.
Yeah.
But he died. Now, where do we draw the line for people to understand that there is a place where religion ends for reality to take over? Because let me give you a typical example. I always tell young people that if you don't prepare before you go into the interview room, your best bet to pray is to pray before going for the interview. But when you get into the interview room and you are asked a question, you cannot pray in tongues. Because that time your spirituality ends and knowledge takes over. So if they ask you who is the CEO of this company and you don't know, I don't know whether the Holy Spirit is going to really whisper it in your ears.
Yeah.
So we need to know that at a certain stage, knowledge takes over. And we are not saying spirituality is not there. But if you don't prepare and you go to the interview room and certain questions are asked, and they ask you a question, you don't go there and pray tongues anymore. Because the time for praying of tongues have already passed. You should have done it before entering the room. Now, where do we draw the line for people to understand that it's not everything that is spiritual and it's not everything that is physical?
Yeah. I'm a person of faith. I believe in Jesus. I believe in healing. I'm a scientist. There are things I've seen in medicine that I've thought, no, it's not going to happen. But with faith, it has happened. Okay. When we talk about pastors, It's also in the Bible. I'm sorry I keep referring to the Bible because that's what I know. It says there will be false prophets. So, and again in the Bible it says, and I'm sure it's in the Quran as well, it says, in all things get wisdom.
Yes.
All right. There's a pastor whose name I wouldn't mention, who's been boasting that in this pandemic, he's bought his third private jet.
I'm also not going to mention the name.
Right. I mean, people are suffering, people are dying, and you call yourself a pastor and you're happy to tell your congregation that you've bought a third private jet. A congregation where there's poverty, where the money you used to buy the private jet comes from their offerings and their tithes. We've got to be careful. God says, have the spirit of discernment. Because a man tells you something, a man, a woman of God tells you something, they are human at the end of the day. Like I've said, I have spoken to a lot of people in the ministry. They are getting their jobs. Pastors are getting jobs. So get wisdom. If you come and see me as a doctor and I tell you, oh, you've got cancer, but I don't think you should be treated, would you believe me? Wouldn't you leave me and go to another doctor? No. So I think we shouldn't let our judgment be clouded by what some pastors say. I believe majority of pastors are not against the use of vaccines. One of the reasons people talk about is the use of aborted fetuses. That's not correct. The vaccines are not made out of aborted fetuses. Yeah, if you go down the line, maybe years ago, it could have originated. And when you talk of aborted fetuses, are you talking of a fetus that was delivered by abortion or a fetus that was obtained by miscarriage? Again, look at the two differences. But when you want to play on sentiments, you add the word aborted. But go into the scientific literature, you will not find a paper that said, oh, it was a fetus that was aborted that they used 100 years ago or 50 years ago to develop a cell line for vaccines. No. So I think let's separate politics from science. Let's separate religion from science. God gave us the wisdom. God gave scientists the wisdom. If God didn't want us to be able to develop vaccines, it wouldn't happen. So let's be wise in what we do. Let's be informed in our decision making. If you're still not unclear, like I said up front, there's nothing wrong in having concerns about the vaccines. But raise the questions, and oh, does it cause infertility? Then people will be able to address it. Does it cause this? But if you just give a general statement or talk about a video that was online, that I mean, you've seen caricatures of Trump or Obama, Photoshop dancing in Nigerian or even African attires. Nowadays, you can do anything on social media. So let us get wisdom. My take on this is, like I said, I did have the infection. I didn't know I had it when I did. I thought it was malaria. Well, it felt like malaria. I've had the vaccine, my first jab, and I'm going to have my second jab. My family, my two children who are in the medical, one is a pharmacist, one is a doctor, they've had the vaccines because they are in the front line. Okay? And this is the appeal I'm going to make to the Black and Asian community. When you vaccinate, let's say 90% of the Caucasian community, they would have developed that antibodies. Now, when we sit back and say, no, we're not going to have this vaccine because we're not sure about it, or they want to kill us, they want to depopulate us, it means that when we're exposed, the virus is not going anywhere. It's going to be here, it's mutating, you're having variants, then it's going to continue to infect Black people. People might say, okay, why is government worried about people who don't take the vaccine? It's because if I don't take the vaccine and I have the virus, I could give it to somebody who may have been vaccinated, but their antibody level has gone down and they will not know, and they can get the infection from me. It's a public health issue. And that's why the World Health Organization cried out aloud in March of 2020 and said, this is a pandemic. When it all started, the World Health Organization did not call it a pandemic. But from what is going on, we know we have a problem on our hands. But we've been fortunate. With the vaccines now, the numbers of people dying is coming down. The number of people being hospitalized is coming down. Look at America, it's the same. These things work. So as a community, don't let us live on historical past. I don't want to go into history. But when I go into history, who sold our brothers into slavery? Who did?
That's a deep question, yeah?
Yeah, we did. A few of us did. They were giving Greek gifts and they sold the brothers into slavery. Yeah, it's not right on both sides, but we cannot just sit back on history. What we have to do is work and try and work together. Like I said, the younger generation now perhaps don't even know the difference between, look, do you know what's going to happen? Going to London now, a lot of interracial marriages are happening.
Where?
In London, in the West.
Yeah, exactly.
In the world. So you don't even know who is Black, who is white, who's got black genes, who's got... That is why we're now screening everybody in the United Kingdom for hemoglobinopathies and thalassemia, because your skin may be white, but you may have sickle cell disease because you've got it from marriage. Or you understand what I mean? So there's going to come a time where all this black and white differentiation and skin color, it's a journey. We've got to speak out when you see racism, when you see discrimination. We've got to call it out as it is. But we shouldn't die out of ignorance. Thank you.
Wow, I've really enjoyed this. Trust me, it's a very powerful discussion.
Thank you.
And I enjoyed every bit of this. And trust me, I think these are the kind of education we need in our communities. And if you are watching this, I want to encourage you to share somebody, because a lot of people have got loads and loads of doubts about this vaccine. And because of that, they are really risking their lives. I always say this, that if you think God will protect you if you have the virus, then don't take it. If you also think that you have got a very, very good immune system, but don't take it. But the question is, let me even ask you this. How can somebody know they have got a very good immune system?
You can't know. You don't know.
Until you get it.
Until you get it. Until you get it. You may think...
And that is quite risky, isn't it?
It is. It's the fact that you're well and fit. just before, I know time may be going, but people say, why aren't people dying in Africa? Oh, they thought 200 or a million, a billion people will die in Africa. Again, the population of Africa, I use Nigeria as an example, 50% or over 50% of Nigerians are under the age of 20. So they don't have diabetes. They don't have obesity. They don't have underlying conditions. They're healthy. It doesn't mean they don't carry the virus, but they're able to ward it off. It's the elderly at risk people. People are dying in Africa. Some people say it's the wealthy people dying. No, even the poor people are dying if they get exposed to it and if they have underlying conditions. So that is why the death rate in Africa is not as predicted. It must be due to demography in one part. And again, we don't know what effect all the vaccines, we had BCG, we had all sorts of vaccinations when we were young. So perhaps Africans have that ability to recognize viruses and mount a defense against them now. So I don't want to go into the sciences. I'm using the word perhaps and perhaps in this, but let me tell you, research is ongoing.
Yeah, I think I've got some comment from Pastor Odikamis, and I think it's a very interesting comment he has made. And I think he says, how do you market transactional system, a new transactional system? If anyone really knew what it was, they would not want it. And thus it is the use of the healthcare system and pandemic to be manipulated into accepting a vaccine. It's not really a vaccine containing nanobot technology. So I think he is thinking the vaccine contains nanobot technology, if I really understand what he's saying. But to be honest, I don't know what nanobot technology is even all about. Yeah.
No, they're playing on the words nano. Nano means a small particle. Okay, there are lots of medications that we've been using before COVID that has nanoparticles in them or nano constituents in them. So again, this is where people are playing on people's emotions. Oh, there's a chip. They've put a chip in it so that they can track you. I mean, your phone, they can track you. Your GPS in your Prado or SUV, you can be tracked anywhere in this world. So I know what that pastor is talking about, but there's no nanoparticle in this vaccine that tracks you or that will be able to make sure they can track you or that you'll be glowing with some fluorescent light. No, it's not correct. Absolutely not correct. Yes, I was not part of the research, but don't forget there are ethical standards before a drug gets to the market. If somebody has cancer and there's a new drug, I don't think patients ask the doctors. If the doctor says, you've got cancer, but this new drug that has come out has a chance that it might prolong or even cure you. No patient says, doctor, tell me what is in that new drug. Are there any nanoparticles in it? No. So again, this is where people are playing on emotions. The 5G technology, again, that is wrong. People are talking of, oh, it's about 5G technology. No. Did we not have 4G technology, 3G technology? When the mobile phone came, where people, I mean, look at how small a phone is now. Science has moved on. Years ago, you had to dial the telephone and ring. Now you can even you can even talk to Siri or Alexa and say, what's the time? And Alexa will tell you what the time is. So let's be careful about what we say. I would, for example, the pastor who raised the question about nanoparticles, what that pastor should have done is to say, I've heard about this, I have gone to research it and look at what I have found. But no, don't just put the question out there as when I say as a pastor, because I believe whoever the pastor was has a background of having probably gone to university. He or she, I'm sure, can do his own research. But when we talk of nanoparticle and you say that from the pulpit, I would expect the pastor to go and read about nanoparticles or nanotechnology. We're talking of augmented reality now. We're talking of telemedicine. I don't need to see patients now face to face. I can sit down in my office now. We're talking of robotic surgery. I could sit here in the UK and I could be looking into a theater in anywhere in the world using robotic surgery and asking people to operate. That is where we are. That's its advancement. Years ago, if you were going to travel from Tema to Takoradi, you'll go on your feet. Now you'll go by air. We've moved. So I think let's make progress. Let's make progress. Don't let us. It's also in the Bible. I shall not have the spirit of fear. God will not give you the spirit of fear. So why do people want to instill the spirit of fear in human beings? It's biblical. Yes, there are principalities and powers. But if you are a person of faith, a believer, and where you say, I am covered by whatever looks after you, then you are covered. God will not allow anything that he doesn't want to allow to happen. And I'm addressing this from a religious point of view, because that's one big area of, oh, religion, religion, religion. No, let us be careful. Pastors, like I said, I've spoken to pastors. I am speaking to pastors of black churches in the United Kingdom. I know what they're doing. I know what some churches have done. They are speaking to their congregation. They're appealing to their congregation. They're educating their congregation. So please, we shall not have the spirit of fear. So nobody should instill the spirit of fear in another person by misinformation or disinformation.
That is one thing I always say, and I always say to anyone. For example, as a pastor, if you stand on the pulpit and you tell your congregation, don't go for the vaccine, I always ask them, if they don't go for the vaccine, what alternative are you giving them?
Yeah.
If you don't have any alternative, then there is no point telling them not to go for the vaccine. Because if they don't go for the vaccine because of what you said, and they die of the virus, then God will ask their blood from your hands. Because in the nutshell, you are the one who killed them.
I hear what you say. I have a slight legal background. There's something we call vicarious liability. If a pastor stands in front of his congregation and says, don't take the vaccine, and if people die and families bring lawsuits against that pastor, you stood here and told my parents not to take the vaccine, They did not take it because of what you've said. Now they're dead. I am suing you. We may get to that stage.
Very soon.
Very soon. It's called vicarious liability.
I was just even speaking it from a common sense approach, not from a law from a law background approach. But I thought it makes sense that if because you see it's a matter of trust, right?
Yeah.
If I trust you, Prof, and I believe Prof as a scientist, and Prof advises me to do certain things when it comes to the medical field, of course I'm not going to say no because of trust. In the same way, that also can be applied to the pastor. That out of trust, people are going to obey you just because they trust you.
Yeah.
And if it goes the other way around, that they die, then who is supposed to be blamed?
Yeah.
It is you. So I always tell them that if you tell them not to take the vaccine, give them an alternative. If your alternative is prayer, then that prayer must work. If your alternative is fasting, that fasting must work. If your alternative is that we are developing our own vaccine because we don't trust their vaccine, then that is also a very good alternative. But saying that without any alternative, for me, I think we are damaging our society than anything else. And I think it's about time that we really rise up and really think through things for us to understand. Look, when you started, you made mention of some of the historical facts in terms of what has been done to black people, and that is the reason why some doesn't want to take the vaccine, which is very acceptable. And of course, have the people really changed? It can still be in doubt. So my point is that, when I speak to my African friends back home, my family, I say, look, you haven't provided a vaccine. Somebody have provided one. You say you don't want it. Now, what are you producing for yourself? Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, what are their scientists doing? If you don't believe in what they are producing, what are you producing for your people? And if we are providing nothing, but we are condemning what somebody has done that can really help us, then I think we have got a long way to go.
Yeah.
Because for how long can we continue begging? Now, I saw an article on Sky News saying that 600,000 COVID-19 vaccine has been shipped to Ghana, one of the poorest countries in the world. And Ghanaians are crying that we are not poor. Of course, if you are not poor, prove to them that you are rich. And if those rich countries, they have bought the vaccines for their people. 24 Ghana cedis is like $2 or $3. Can't we buy it for our people? And I think these are some of the things that I think we need to address in our society. It's very difficult, but it needs to be addressed, because if me and you don't address it, who is going to address it?
Yeah.
And I think you've made very salient points. And I don't know whether maybe you've got something to add before we close. Probably your last word to anyone that is watching us.
I think what you have said now has stimulated something in me. When you talk of blood transfusion, blood donation, do black people step out to donate blood?
No.
Right. When we talk about organ donation, do we step out to act as donors?
No.
No. When it comes to drug trials, and they are recruiting people for drug trials, do we step out?
No.
No. And now, when they have brought out vaccines, we're crying wolf. We should not cry wolf all the time, because the real wolf is around now. And let's heed signs. So my parting word is this: taking the vaccine is an individual choice, but have an informed choice. Not because I have said take it, not because a pastor has said take it, but you see what is going on around you. Listen to the news. Listen to the stories of people who've had the disease. Listen to people who have lost loved ones. There are families in which 3 brothers have died. There are families in which both parents have died. That's a vacuum. How do you quantify that? And we're saying we have a vaccine where over 200 million people have taken, and it has been shown to be safe. And we're saying, don't take it, or I will not take it. My parting words will be, get wisdom. The choice is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before I go, let me really read some few comments. I have got Mekelin Gale Holder. Please, if I didn't mention your name, forgive me. That is, she says, well said. And I've got Odekami saying First Thessalonians 4:16-17, saying catching up away once we have the mark of God. Then he also said rapture is the alternative to the mark of the other TBS, fear of God versus fear of man. Then he also says taught law, the neighbor principle. And he also says we get souls to heaven versus persecution of body for faith. Then Sharanika Lashe says love it. And she also says makes sense. And she also says so true. And Audie comes back to say the elected pastor expounds the word with the word, and education comes from the word of God. I think that is a very powerful conclusion from our pastor. And trust me, I've enjoyed every bit of this discussion. We need to be informed. We are now living in a generation where knowledge is king. When we talked about maybe 30, 40, 50 years ago, we didn't even have information on tuberculosis, on cholera. They tell us and we just believe. And even with that, we didn't die. Now, when you look at a young child in Africa, by the time they grow to adulthood, they would have taken not less than or at least 13 vaccines. They are still alive. Why do you think white people now are going to use COVID-19 to kill us? And I think that, you see, where even we have to draw the line is that why would they like to kill their own people and us?
Yeah.
Because as you explained, there is no COVID for white people, Asians, or blacks. It's the same vaccine. So I think we should be careful. It's a matter of choice. You can make your own decisions, but I always say that don't be selfish, because the decisions you make for your family is what is going to determine whether they are going to live tomorrow or not. Because you might survive it, but probably your wife will not survive it because of what you told your family. You might survive it, but probably your son will not survive it. Your family member, your friend will not survive it. We need to be very careful. Last 3 days when my friend died, it has really caused me to think about life from a different perspective. And I'm like, if probably this guy had the opportunity to have the vaccine, maybe he will be alive today. But he did not. And this guy is equally like me, around the same age. We went to the same university. We came to London early days. In about 3 years, he left to Ghana. Very successful guy. I mean, very successful guy, all standards. Even those of us living in abroad, probably we cannot compare ourselves to him. But he's gone. He's gone within a split of a second. So I think we should be careful how we are dealing with this COVID-19. This vaccine, we need to be careful. My last word to you is that if you don't want to take the vaccine, then think about an alternative. I cannot find an answer for that alternative for you, but you should find that answer. And when you really think deep and you don't find an answer for an alternative, then you need to start thinking. Because as professor said, no one knows how good their immune system is until you get the virus. So don't think that the fact that you are fit means that when you get it, you are going to survive. Because I've seen a lot of people who go to the gym and they have died. So you need to be very careful. And until we understand that, look, this is here to probably stay, we need to make decisions now for our long-term living. God richly bless anyone that really join us. And I want everyone that is on this platform to share this for somebody to really have the opportunity to really watch this powerful discussion. This is what we need in our community. Our community really needs education. And I know it's not everybody that is going to agree with us with what we have really discussed here.
Yeah.
But the fact still remains that if you don't have an alternative, think through this. Because until you get it, you might never know. God bless everyone. On Tuesday, I've got a very young man that I have mentored for about 5 years. And he's going to tell his story from his first year to his 5th year, what he's been able to achieve. And this young man is an amazing journey. And it's an inspiring one, even for adults. He's just sent me a message on WhatsApp a few last week, and I was blown away what this young man has achieved. And on Tuesdays is dedicated for young people on the continent of Africa and in diaspora, for them to share their stories, to inspire other young people. Because you see, so many young people have given up on the continent because they think there are no opportunities. That is why I'm bringing out those young people. They are not wealthy, they are not rich, they are not successful in a sense, but the short span of their story is inspiring other young people for them to really go out there and pursue their vision. And that is what this platform is all about. We want to encourage everyone. We want you to believe again. We want to give you the facts that can help you to make informed decision in pursuit of life and in your vision. And trust me, we are doing well. But help us to really build this platform with your resources, with your knowledge, and with your sense of direction, so that this platform will be the go-to platform for the continent. It's about time we don't need CNN to come and interview this young man that I supported, directed, and for him to be successful in 5 years. We want them to yearn to come to a platform like this. Why? Because we should be our own CNN. But we cannot do it alone. We need your support. We need your time. We need, you see, some of the support you can do to even share this, like our page, tag somebody. It's a form of support. If you want to give us money to build this platform, why not? Because we are doing a good job with our own scarce resources. Why? Because we want to see the Africa we want. And it starts from me and you. Thanks once again, Prof, for your time. And
Oscar,
God richly bless you.
Oscar,
Yes.
thank you for the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for having me on your program.
Wow.
It's been a pleasure. Good evening, and to all our listeners and viewers, thank you for tuning in.
And thanks for your patience as well, because we've had a very tough time coming live. But at the end of the day, we are here. God bless
Yes,
you too.
technical difficulties, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And thanks to everyone that really spent their time watching us. God bless you. And we are going to see. Before I go, I just have to mention a few of our sponsors. This program is sponsored by Train to Inspire Consultancy, your business training and consulting firm. They also work with students in relation to their personal development in second cycle institutions, colleges and universities. ALS Global Shipping and Logistics, your trusted import and export company based in Accra. they say that if you are stranded at the port, call them and they will sort you out. Also, ZPay Ghana Limited, your remittance and mobile money company based in Ghana, they just launched their USSD code for mobile money, and that is *270#. Dial it on your phone and register for ZPay mobile money. If you want to contact any of our sponsors, their numbers are scrolling on the screen. Also, if you want to really sponsor any of our programs, you are happy to do so. Just take the number for T2I TV UK or Train to Inspire Consultancy. Also, if you want to support what we are doing, just contact us and give us the support, because we are touching lives with these programs. We are touching the lives of young people. Our continent does not have enough educational platforms for the personal development of our young people. All our programs, whether in Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, it's all about politics, entertainment, and sports, to the detriment of education that I call education beyond the classroom. That is the personal development, which is very critical to their success in the marketplace. They are not existent. So if you want to support us, why not support us in your own small way for us to build this platform? God bless everyone, and I will see you guys on Tuesday, 8 p.m. GMT. God bless everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.